Hello, welcome to another episode of Blitzing with the Breeze. I'm Tristan,
I'm Nate.
and today this is the time of the year where all the bad teams get their hopes up, thinking they're actually going to be good. We have the NFL draft coming up around April 25th, I believe, and today we're going to be doing our first round mock draft. It's very intriguing after a very intense and exciting free agency that saw a lot of key players bouncing around. And I think it's changed a lot of the draft board. One thing that hasn't changed though is the Bears had the first pick. Um, I would say this is undoubtedly going to be Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, especially now that they've traded Justin Fields for next to nothing. They get their best present on Christmas, the biggest present under the tree, and that will be Caleb Williams. I always compare the draft to Christmas because it is exciting for fans, teams, players alike. And, they traded for Keenan Allen. I'm wearing his jersey, God rest his soul, for the Chargers. Caleb Williams has the best situation to go into right now, and that is with the Chicago Bears.
I mean, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, progressing offensive line. The defense, I think, is ahead of schedule with Montez Sweat. I really like what the Bears are doing. I do want to ask, though, before we move forward, what do you think of Caleb Williams as a prospect? Because I feel like...
Divisive.
Huh?
He's divisive.
He's divisive in many ways. He reminds me a lot of Josh Allen.
Ooh, okay.
Like, just wild player that makes all these crazy plays. But that gets Josh Allen in trouble. Do you think Caleb Williams will suffer that same kind of issues that Josh Allen suffers?
I'm not as high on Caleb Williams as everyone else is. I think that his playmaking ability is absurd, and it is very Mahomes-esque. His arm talent's great. I think his decision-making is actually pretty solid. But I do think playing hero ball, which he had to do at USC this season, really got him in trouble. And Josh Allen, like you said, does the same thing. And Josh Allen's a great quarterback. If he can be anything like Josh Allen, that's a W for the Bears. Easy. I just think that when you're taking a guy from like this type of offense that he ran at USC and you're placing him into the NFL, there's going to be a big jump for him, and that could be scary. You look at guys like Johnny Manziel who kind of ran a similar offense and that had to jump into the NFL. Obviously, a lot different, like people and personalities and stuff, but there is some risk here, and I think he's a risky archetype of player, but he will probably end up fine just because of his natural talent.
Yeah, I think a lot of this has changed just with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen working out.
Yeah.
Like, if it's one of those things, these big arm quarterbacks, as Caleb Williams has a huge arm, these big arm quarterbacks, if they hit, they're a massive home run. But then you could also end up like a Zach Wilson and just flop.
Yeah, he's honestly Caleb Williams does give me very Zach Wilson-esque vibes. I think that's probably his floor is Zach Wilson. And I think his height is Mahomes. So it's like he has this wide range of where he can land.
So next up, I think this is an easy decision. This is Drake May.
It's pretty chalk at this point. It's pretty easy. Drake May goes into a great situation in Washington. I think that they have a lot of building to do still, but I really do think this team is refreshed and they're going to really start to compete in the next few years.
They spent a lot of money on free agency. They didn't really get anybody flashy, but they got some solid players. And I think Drake May is ultra talented. I feel like in just about any other draft, he could be the first quarterback off the board.
Easy.
No question.
I think May is a great prospect. I think he's a lot safer than Williams. I think he has great decision making. He has great footwork. That at times can be shaky. Then we put that clear, but I think when it's on, it's on. He has a great arm, great accuracy. He's shown to throw to different types of receivers. Really like spread out the football. I just think May is a safer prospect. He might not have the same ceiling as Williams, and that's the NFL nowadays is ceiling over floor. But
the situation matters in North Carolina. No offense, they weren't the greatest situation.
Yeah. Moving on to the Patriots. Do you think they go quarterback or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Listen, I love Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm an Ohio State fan. He's a great player. I think the Patriots should go quarteback.
Yeah,
it's just too valuable at this point, and they really, really need it. They traded Mac Jones, who wasn't good. Then you had Bailey Zapp.
Whew.
Not much better. He's definitely far from the GOAT. So you get Jaden Daniels. We can go ahead and select Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, our resident Patriots fan in the building hates the selection. He thinks Marvin Harrison has to be the guy.
I don't know.
But who's throwing it to him? You want 300 yards for Marvin Harrison Jr. in his first year? I don't think so.
Not really. And listen, I know Jaden Daniels kind of came up as a late. He went to my high school, Cajon, went to Arizona State before going to LSU, where he really broke out with the LSU receivers, who are also super good.
Oh, my goodness.
Some of the concerns with Jaden Daniels is he is kind of built like a giraffe.
Yeah.
His frame is pretty small, and he loves a big hit.
And I love the play style, but, if you're...
You got to protect himself.
You got to protect yourself.
Especially when you consider the fact he is kind of built like a giraffe.
Yeah.
His frame is small. I worry about him getting injured with his play style.
Yeah, and that's a very reasonable concern. He is a fifth-year senior. He only has 1 year of true production. He threw to Brandon Ayuk back in the day in college, which is kind of crazy to think about.
I know.
I think that Jaden Daniels has a lot of talent, and we'll see if he puts it together. I think Patriots is an okay system for him. I think he really meshes well with the head coach that they have going on with Jerome Mayo and stuff. But moving on to the Cardinals, is this the Marvin Harrison
This
spot?
is absolutely Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
If Marvin Harrison gets the floor, there is zero chance he falls any farther. The Cardinals desperately need receiver. Marvin Harrison's been like a top 5 projected prospect for 2 years now.
Yeah.
This is a no-brainer if you're asking me.
I would have to agree. I think the Cardinals receiving room they're kind of setting themselves up to draft Marvin Harrison. They got rid of Marquise Brown, who went to the Chiefs because, of course. That's a perfect fit for him. But anyways, they have Michael Wilson, who I really like. I think he's still developing, though. He was the second or third round pick for a reason. They have Greg Dortch, who is just my guy. If you guys are ever bored, watch Greg Dortch highlights. It is amazing. He's like a 5'7" receiver who just is – he looks like the best receiver on the field at all times. I don't know what it is. Just you got to really check him out. But, yeah, I really hope he stays in the slot this year and he gets more opportunity to play with even with Marvin Harrison being drafted. But moving on, we have, I believe, what would be our first trade of the NFL draft.
Yes. So recently the Vikings got, I believe it was the 11th pick.
Yeah.
And I think they got that as ammo to trade with the Chargers and select a quarterback of the future. So we'll go ahead and offer this trade right now.
Obviously, there can be a lot more trade, draft picks going on right here. Mm-hmm. 4 could be swapped and 6 could be swapped, whatever it may be. We're just doing the first round.
It'll probably end up being more.
Yeah. I got to force this trade. There we go. Cool. So.
And then this is a quarterback, in my opinion. We go to J.J. McCarthy.
And I just recently wrote an article about how J.J. McCarthy is actually one of my more favorite quarterbacks of the draft. I don't think he's better than the top 3, but I think he's actually pretty good. A lot of people are hating on him. I think he's going to be fine. He just needs a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things at Michigan. They just ran the ball all the time.
Yeah.
He didn't get a ton of opportunities to pass the ball. Then you put him in a system with Kevin O'Connell, who comes from Sean McVay, very quarterback friendly.
KOC is a great coach.
I know. If they keep Justin Jefferson, I hope they do.
They will.
Well, let's hope so. I know there's been rumors going around.
Yeah.
If they keep Justin Jefferson with Jordan Addison, this is a great situation for J.J. McCarthy, no question.
Yeah, McCarthy is only 21, and just because he didn't do it doesn't mean he cannot do it in the NFL, and I think that's a big misconception right now. I understand the concern. It's he didn't show it, but it doesn't mean he can't do it, right? And he's only 21. He's going to go into a great situation. Sam Darnold could start some games to begin with if he needs a little bit more time. I think McCarthy and that system is going to work out very well. They just need to get him a running game over there. I don't know what's going on with that room.
No question. So next up we have the Giants. I think they need an outside receiver.
Yeah.
Obviously, Evan Neal has not worked out a tackle.
Yeah.
So you could look at tackle, maybe move Joel over. But I personally think they should go receiver here. Malik Neighbors is explosive. I think he'd be a good fit on the Giants.
I would have to agree. I love Jalen Hyatt. I love Darius Slayton. He's one of my favorite receivers in the league, Darius Slayton. I don't know why. It just is. Wan'Dale Robinson has shown some things. Isaiah McKenzie's okay. They have 4 receivers that are all 2 or 3s, and they needed that number 1 guy. I will say I would kind of argue for Rome Odunze over Neighbors just purely based on skill set. Odunze gives you that more of the X receiver.
Odunze is also, I think, more of a safer pick.
Yeah.
I think Neighbors is definitely okay. His ceiling is really, really high.
Yeah.
Just his explosiveness and how well he played in the previous year.
I think they have to go Neighbors because he is slightly better of a prospect than Rome. But at the same time, you look at the skill set. I mean, to me, Neighbors is Jalen Hyatt with a jetpack and just with steroids.
Sure.
He's just insane. But I think Neighbors is still the selection, whether the skill set aligns or not. He's just too good at pass up long.
I don't think you could go wrong either way.
Yeah,
I would still lean Neighbors, but I think both receivers in this draft in general are loaded.
Yeah.
I think both of these receivers could work out.
We'll go with Neighbors.
Yeah. Next up, I think this is Joel.
Yeah, it's so easy to do this, but it's just they need a tackle.
Andre Dillard was so bad.
They got rid of
I think
him.
you have to get Joel.
I don't even know. They paid a Lloyd Cushenberry from the Broncos to play center.
I just want Skronsky and Joel next to each other, so Will Levis at least has a chance to do something.
Yeah, I'm excited for Levis. So there's the alt spot.
Yeah.
I think here with the Falcons, they have to go Brock Bat. No, I was kidding. Go double tight ends, not use them. But
Yeah, no, let's not do that.
I'm joking. I think they got to go defensive line. Their cornerback room has Clark Phillips stepping up for the nickel. I think Clark Phillips will be fine. But
And you still have Terrell, so
yeah, I think you got to go D line here.
yeah, there's a couple of places you can go. I personally would go Dallas Turner.
Yeah,
They
I think
needed edge for a while. I think that's a good spot for him.
It's ridiculous how Jared Verse is also really good, but it's ridiculous how much draft capital they've invested and still got nothing. Like Arnold Ebiketie was a second round pick. I loved him out of the draft. He just hasn't really developed. It's kind of Lorenzo Carter is a player that I liked as a free agent signing. Yeah. Didn't really do much. They have D'Angelo Malone, who's an athletic freak who just didn't really do anything. Yeah. Zach Harrison from last year hasn't really done much. These are all second, third round picks. Yeah. And it's just it kind of feels bad to draft another edge rusher, but I feel like they're never going to get over that hump unless they just really commit and go get a guy in the top 10 while they're there.
They need to.
Yeah.
They've spent most of their top picks on offensive talent. They got Pitts, London,
Bijan.
They got Terrell 1 year, which I would all consider these kind of gambles.
Yeah.
For the most part, I would go Dallas Turner. I think he's the safest pick at edge.
Yeah, he's a great prospect. I don't know as well as a receiver, but moving on to the Bears. People might say Rome Odunze because he's right here, but
I don't think they need him now. They got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. There's a lot of places.
Tyler Scott's a fine receiver too. I mean, their defensive interior, they did just lose Justin Jones. I would definitely argue that Byron Murphy's a great selection here. They also can go with edge for sure. It's just the defense, especially in the back end, they've invested a lot of capital in, and I think they just got to ride it out. Oh yeah, they also got Kevin Byard, so I think they're going to be fine back there. Yeah. Right now they have Montez Sweat, Jacob Martin. That's a fine 1-2 with DeMarcus Walker, Dominique Robinson. That's fine. I mean,
it's one of those things that Dallas Turner fell one more pick. I would have picked him.
Yeah, I mean Jared Verse is great too.
Yeah, because
I think you got to go Jared Verse.
Yeah, we can do Jared Verse. Maybe a little high for him, but I still like Jared Verse's prospect. We can go ahead and select him.
Yeah, I think Verse is going to be a great player. I think he's going to be an underrated draft pick for sure. Now the Jets.
If Romeo Odunze is there, I think they got to take him.
They did just sign Mike Williams. They're probably going to get rid of Lazard.
Mike Williams is the most unreliable receiver. He's injured every single year. Yeah. If you can get Romeo Odunze next to Garrett Wilson, and then if Mike Williams plays, that's what I would do. That's just my opinion.
People argue about Brock Bowers, but I think the Ohio State tight end they took a few years ago, he's ready. He's ready to go. So I think Odunze
the only other
selection.
Position I could think of for the Jets is maybe a tackle, but they did sign Tyron Smith in free agency.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me towards Romeo Odunze. And he's just so good.
I would also expect, sorry to cut you off, is David Bakhtiari to go there too as a swing tackle, or because Tyron Smith misses games, Bakhtiari misses games. They'll kind of offset each other, and they're both great players. And obviously Aaron Rodgers, Hackett connection, and all that stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. So you thinking Odunze?
Yeah, I think Odunze here is fair. So I know who I want.
Well, let's go over a couple people.
Yeah,
I know who he wants. He wants Brock Bowers, so I think
that's my guy.
Do you really define him as a tight end, or do you just kind of define him as like a weapon?
I mean, I think he's a weapon, but if you just want to plug and play him at tight end, he's going to do that just fine. Everything about Bowers is so intriguing. I wrote a whole article why the Chargers need to get him, blah, blah. This is all before we signed Hayden Hurst and Will Dissly. But those guys are not going to stop you from getting arguably the best receiving option in the draft. Will Dissly is strictly a blocker, and Hayden Hurst, is coming off some crazy injuries. And I think he would be a fine number 2, but we need a number 1, and Bowers gives you that for the next decade plus.
I think he's a guy you can move all over too.
Yeah,
he can kind of play the Kyle Juszczyk role.
Oh yeah,
I think Brock Bowers is a good selection here. I also wouldn't mind if you scroll down a little bit
for sure
and look at for tackle Fuaga. I think he'd be good if you move him to guard. We got who's the offensive coordinator again?
Offensive coordinator right now is Greg Roman.
Greg Roman. You get a guy that can establish the power run game. That could work too. I'll let you be the selector since you're a Chargers fan. But I think that's also a good pick. I think you can go either way with this.
Yeah, I think Charger fans would absolutely despise you if you finished off with a Felice Fuaga pick. People are so tired of us taking tackles like Joel at 5, stuff like that. Yeah. I'm not super hatred against it as I played offensive line. I like building through the trenches, but at the end of the day, we have Quentin Johnson as arguably our wide receiver 1. We need something to catch the ball. Anybody, please. And I think Brock Bowers gives you enough blocking ability in the run game. But also, he can line him up at H-back as an X receiver, as a Z receiver, as tight end, wide tight end, inline. It doesn't matter. You can play anywhere you want him to. So I think Brock Bowers has to be the selection. You can argue a receiver, but I think we'll get to that later for us. So for me, Bowers is an easy choice.
I would wait on receiver personally. We'll get to this later because there's so many good receivers.
Yeah.
Denver. I think they can go a million different places.
Yeah.
They can go quarterback. They can go receiver. They can probably go offensive line. I mean, there's like a million places they can go.
Yeah, it's a tough situation right now.
Yeah, I mean, they had honestly a really bad free agency.
Yeah.
So they're going to be relying on some of these young guys if they even want to win a couple of games, really.
They could couple Pat Surtain with another really good corner. There's a few on the board right now. I think Cooper DeJean's actually more of a late first-round guy. I think PFF has him still way too high.
He is way too high.
But I do like Quinyon Mitchell. Terrion Arnold's my CB1.
Yeah.
Nate Wiggins is really good. But
just don't know if they need a corner desperately.
Yeah, it's kind of like a luxury pick.
Is it too early for Bo Nix?
Man. Sean Payton's going to get his guy no matter what.
I feel like it's a little bit early.
We could look at a trade.
We could look at a trade.
Who would want to go up and get maybe a Byron Murphy or a corner or something? Who's like desperately in need of something like that? I think that's the question you have to ask.
Yeah, I don't know. When we're talking about trade ups, most of the time it's gonna be for a quarterback.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that's really that desperate to get Bo Nix to jump ahead of anybody?
I don't think so. I think you're looking at a team who really likes someone like Byron Murphy or Quinyon that wants to just jump teams. And I think that honestly, the Jags would kind of make sense. They do need a DB. They lost Rayshon Jenkins, and they can jump the Colts, who could always use a DB. And it's kind of a hard situation to project a trade. I think if they were to stick and pick the Broncos, probably going to have to go defense here. There's not really, unless you want to tackle.
Do they really need to tackle that badly? I don't really know.
Garrett Bowles is a fine player. Mike eventually they paid a bunch of money to. They just signed Matt Pert. I think Matt Pert's a fine swing tackle too. The defensive line is kind of rough right now.
I was gonna say I would probably lean towards the defensive line. I think there's a lot of defensive linemen that'll be on the board at this point.
Yeah, they have a lot of guys, but not a lot of
There's not much there.
Real players.
I mean, they did trade Bradley Chubb last year too. So.
Yeah, I like Zach Allen. DJ Jones is a good player. Matt Henningsen I like out of the draft, but right now you have Malcolm Roach starting in base packages.
It's definitely ugly. So.
I think we got to go with probably Byron Murphy's.
Yeah,
in my opinion, a great player.
That's not a bad pick at all.
For sure.
Raiders. I feel like they haven't had a good corner in years, so we could instantly just look there.
Yeah.
I also don't like the quarterback situation that much at all. I mean, they got Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell.
They're having a mid off.
It's probably the weakest quarterback room out of any team. I don't know if they wait on quarterback or not. I'd be pro getting Toronto Arnold from Alabama.
Yeah.
I think that's a good selection.
I think it's a very much a Tom Telesco selection, their general manager. I'm very experienced with him. So it just fits kind of what they would draft, as he is the boss now for the Raiders.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Pick, they need DB. They've always needed DB. And now we head to the Saints.
Trevor Penny's not being good. Olu Fashanu, not Fashanu, it's Fashanu. He's on the board. I think he's a little underrated.
I think they could definitely use some tackle help for sure. Because they lost Ron Armstead a couple of years ago, and they really have not replaced him.
Yeah, I mean that team is pretty. It's a tough team right now. They're stuck with Derek Carr. You know?
Stuck with Derek Carr. Bad cap situation every single year.
They figure it out. You got to give them that at least. I mean,
Trevor Penning, I think you could definitely look at tackle here.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, defensive tackle is also kind of tough,
I think you could look at. I think you can kind of look at the line of scrimmage from both sides for them.
Yeah, I mean Johnny Newton would make sense. I don't know. They have good linebackers. I'm gonna check out their corners real quick. Jordan Howden's a fine safety. Lattimore, Debo. It's honestly I think they just got to get a tackle. It sucks because they just drafted Penning. Everyone knew he wasn't going to be good. It's now you're going from opposite ends of the spectrum. By the way, Fashion is definitely more of a pass protector than it's a run blocker as compared to Penning, who's just a run blocker. It sucks that they're giving up on him so quickly, but you kind of saw the red flags coming as soon as you drafted him.
So now we have Indy. They really don't have corner from what I remember.
Yeah, they have Juju Brent starting, who's fine. That's the second rounder. And then they have I think Julian Blackman just left at safety. I think DeJean would be a good pick for them just because he can play both safety corner. I mean, Dallas
Yeah.
Flowers can't really be
I
starting.
feel like it's high for Dejean. We could go
Quinion, and that does match.
Out of Toledo.
Yeah, that matches what Chris Ballard loves in corners. These lengthy, just athletic freaks.
Yeah, for sure. We could do that. That's a pretty simple pick. Now we have Seattle. I would personally focus on edge, obviously, but interior offensive line. They seem to have tackle okay with Charles Cross, Jackson Powers Johnson.
I love Jackson Powers Johnson.
I think he'd be a great fit there, even though they're a division rival.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place for him to go.
I would have to agree. I do like the prospect that they drafted last year in Olutimi, I believe his name is. Forgive me if that was wrong. He is interesting as a center. I'm not too sure if he's the future guy. It is tough right now to kind of predict, but they do need a guard, and Jackson Powers Johnson can play guard. So I think honestly, it's just the best fit, just to get the best interior offensive lineman on the board. Moving on, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I don't like this team at all. I think they are the most mid-team ever.
Yeah.
I mean, Christian Kirk is on a huge contract, and no offense, he's just not worth it.
They did just lose Calvin Ridley. They need a receiver. They have Zay Jones, who they were looking to move. They might need a receiver.
They need DB. I know they lost Darius Williams.
And they lost Rayshawn. I think this might be the DeJean spot. I understand that Nate Wiggins on the board, but I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you could do DeJean.
Yeah. It is a little high, but also he has that versatility to play kick returner too. So here with the Bengals, they just got another tackle. They do need a tight end, but unless you want to reach for Jatavian Sanders, not really anything there.
I personally would get a developmental tackle here.
Okay.
Maybe a Fuaga or somebody like that. They've needed tackle.
Mims would be crazy because he's a young, super developed. I mean, he can learn under.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have much playing time, right?
4 games. I think he got hurt in 2 of them.
I know people love him when he's on the field, but he's
a big dude. I mean, he's like the same build as Trent Brown.
So I think I have a team for him. I just don't know if it's this early.
Okay, I think Johnny Noon's also a good selection for him because they did just lose DJ Reader.
Yeah, that could work too. I kind of think they should just go tackle.
Tackle? I'm cool with Mims at this spot, honestly.
Yeah, we can do Mims there.
Okay.
Developmental tackle.
It just fits them. Rams, this is you.
They need D-line so bad.
You think Johnny Newton with the Aaron Donald retired?
There's Newton, and then there's the
Latu is really good.
Latu or Newton, I think I could go either way here. They do have Bobby Brown, who sometimes produces.
Yeah.
Kobe Turner, who they got last year.
That was good. Byron Young. Who's on the opposite side of Byron Young?
It is Michael Hoyt.
Ooh. Yeah, put him in coverage. Keep doing that.
No, let's not do that. I remember it was the Eagles game. I was at that game. They put him in coverage against Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
They ran a streak down the field, and it didn't work out for him.
I kept watching the Super Bowl. I was like, oh my God. Or not the Super Bowl, but the playoffs. I'm sorry.
Playoff game.
I was just like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I mean, they need just defense in general. I like Latu right here.
Okay.
We'll just do that so they have...
Hometown kid, too.
Hometown kid. I mean, they could definitely use interior defensive line now that Aaron Donald's retired.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. You can't really replace him anyways. So.
Moving on to the Steelers. Man, it's a tough team. I mean, they have Russ. They have Justin Fields. I think kind of quarterback's out of the picture right now for them. They kind of just set themselves up for mid.
They could look for another tackle opposite of what's his name?
Broderick Jones?
Broderick Jones that they drafted last year.
Yeah.
They could potentially do that.
Are they doing Dan? Do they still have Dan Moore starting? And I think Chooks went to a different team, if I'm not mistaken. But if it's Dan Moore, I think you got to go Talise Fuaga or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
they
don't have great left tackle.
Yeah, it is Dan Moore still. Receivers, I mean, I like Calvin Austin a lot. He is only 5'8". They have Van Jefferson, George Pickens. Oh, this team needs help.
Yeah, I would say definitely offense.
Yeah, it's either tackle or receiver here, and I mean, you look at the board, and this tackle just makes sense. Unless they want a Brian Thomas, but
yeah, maybe if they trade down, but otherwise, I would say they definitely would want to look at tackle here.
Yeah, I think Fuaga's probably the type. Latham played right tackle. Fuaga, did he play right tackle too? I believe he did. Yeah, he was a right tackle. Fatano could play guard as well, but he did play left tackle in college. Latham, I know he plays right tackle. Graham Barton can play everywhere. Guy, I also think plays right tackle. Yeah, all the left tackles are kind of gone. And I'm not a big fan of flipping players unless they obviously said they can play left tackle. That being said, I mean, it is kind of like who else are you going to go with?
Yeah, it is one of those things. Unless you trade back, this might be a tackle no matter what.
Which trading back is not a bad idea. We could explore the option. Does anyone like desperately need a Johnny Newman or like a different tackle? I mean,
I don't really see
the
anybody.
Packers because they just lose
Packers-
Bakhtiari and Neiman.
Packers do need a tackle really badly.
And I know Fatano's like, or even Fuaga is like both really good
Yeah.
selections for them. But you'd kind of wouldn't they just be playing left tackle anyway? So it's like,
Well, and the other thing is, I think there's a good chance those tackles fall to them anyways.
yeah. So I think here they're just gonna have to reach for someone that they think that fits their scheme. And I mean, honestly, it is kind of just tough right now. This board that's lined up for them. Jordan Morgan's more of a developmental guy. He did play left tackle, but
I think that's a little high.
yeah, very high.
Do we just go luxury and just pick receiver here? Because Brian Thomas is a good receiver too.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian Thomas actually does fit what they like too. Honestly, I was hoping it falls to the Chargers, but I think that's a good pick for the Steelers. Let's go with that.
You can go ahead and do
Good
that.
call. Dolphins.
Miami. This is kind of tough for them
Offensive.
because I was gonna say they need offensive line like really really bad, especially in the interior.
They do need the interior defensive line too, with Christian Wilkins gone.
Oh yeah, Christian Wilkins is gone. They don't really have much edge help either.
Yeah.
Because of the injuries.
Yeah, it's this team is. Oh, they went all in, and it's
somewhat all in.
Yeah, I mean Isaiah Wynn's a fine starter, I guess. Aaron Brewer, I like at center enough. Robert Jones, that's not the guy I'm thinking of. That's the other guy. Robert Hunt went.
Robert
Hunt. I was like, he's not on that team anymore. Austin Jackson, Teron Armstead plays 3 games a year. Man, Benio Jones is a fine interior defensive lineman, but they need more.
Yeah. I would say Newton's a good
Yeah,
player
I think so. They would be happy with that selection. Now with the Eagles.
Nate Wiggins. They need corners so bad.
Yeah, I would have
I'm
to
not
agree.
looking at anything else.
Chargers.
I would be looking for a receiver here.
I mean,
if you ask me.
Yeah, I think receiver kind of has to be the pick here. But at the same time, like even as a Charger fan, we just talked about getting a tackle in the first round with discussed people. If Walker's still at the board at 23, I would kind of be like screaming at the TV, like, okay, that's a great pick either way. Grant Barr, we do need a center, and Barton actually does play center. I wouldn't be mad with that. But I mean, A.D. Mitchell's a great receiver. I love Lav McConkey. It's
having
really
Joshua Palmer, and Quentin Johnson as your 2 receivers mainly.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Iffy. I think if you get Brock Bowers and then one of the loaded receivers in this draft, I mean,
yeah,
I'm not saying he's going to be a good replacement for Keenan Allen, but
A.D. Mitchell's an intriguing prospect. He kind of reminds me of Quentin Johnson, but like good because they're both tall, lanky. I don't know. It is tough. It's like a little bit of a prospect flashbacks here. I'm like, oh, we're getting another Quentin Johnston, but I think A.D. Mitchell's a fine pick.
I mean, we kind of knew Quentin Johnson was a gamble when they drafted him. I feel like I have less questions about Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, I love Barton, I love Fuaga. I'd be happy with those, but we'll go with A.D. Mitchell for the sake of just we need a receiver so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Moving on to the Cowboys.
They lost Tyron Smith, so
I
could immediately look at tackle.
Yeah, I mean, Fuaga would be jumping for joy.
I mean, there's not really any good linebackers, which I think is what they need the most. Maybe a safety.
Yeah, who's at their right tackle spot right now? It's is it Terrence Steele still coming back from injury?
Steele, yeah.
I mean, he's fine. He's just coming back from injury. Guard, they have Tyler Smith, Zach Martin. Yeah. Center, they need someone.
They could go into. I think we don't have any good interior defensive linemen left anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mozzie and Osa are a really good duo.
I like
actually.
them as players, but I think they're more speed rushers. They don't really. There's nobody here on that team that could stop the run.
Like Mozzie was drafted to do that, but then they made him drop a bunch of weight, and then now he's bad at football, and it's actually maddening. But Osa is a great rusher. It's just not so much as a run defender.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look. Man, you can look at a guy who like Fatano who can play some guard. He's played some left tackle. And I think they do need a left tackle. They like that guard kind of combo. They did it with Tyler Smith. What do you think?
I like tackle in this spot because you can move them over, obviously.
Yeah. You think Fatano or Fuaga?
We'll say Fatano right now.
Okay. It sucks that Fuaga's falling, but it kind of is like the name of the game. I mean, right now with the Packers coming up, that might be a Fuaga selection because I think Fatano is a very Packers player, but he just went. So now you got to look for someone else. Zach Tom's a fine tackle. Rasheed Walker, ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bakhtiari's not there anymore. Even when he was there, he didn't play much. So I think you could easily look at tackle here for the Packers.
Yeah, and if Fuaga can play guard and Elton Jenkins can go out to left tackle, there's a lot of shuffling they're going to have to do with the Fuaga selection. I don't like moving guys over, but at pick 25, this is a good value.
Yeah.
I just think you
A
have
potential
to.
Player.
Yeah. Here with the Buccaneers, oh,
They
wow.
can go like a million different directions.
That is true. I mean, Graham Barton can play center, guard, tackle, and that just gives them a plug-and-play player at the line.
Oh, yeah. Tackle's not bad. They really need interior line. Is there any good interior linemen?
Defensive line or offensive line?
Offensive.
Graham Barton can play anywhere.
Yeah, I was going to say. We could probably try that.
I think Barton's a good selection here.
They got beat pretty bad in the playoffs just because the line couldn't block very well.
Yeah. Moving on to the Cardinals at pick 27.
See, they got the
Marvin
offensive
Harrison
player, Marvin
already.
Harrison, so I think we should go focus on defense.
Yeah.
Mostly defensive line because there's nobody really knows.
Like, I love Cam Thomas. I like Myjai Sanders. They've invested, but it's not worked out. BJ Ojolari hasn't really done much so far.
Yeah.
Justin Jones is a mid defensive tackle. That's coming from a Charger fan. Bilal Nichols is okay. I mean, this team is this team's rough right now.
We're picking 4 for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to look at defensive line, like you said. Braden Fisk this is too high for Fisk. Edge, I like Chop Robinson. I think he's a little low on this board. Chris Braswell is a fine player. Oh man, they would like a player like Chop because they kind of always drafted athletic freaks.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that's tough.
It is, yeah. It's one of those things like they need so much.
Yeah,
it's hard to pick somebody.
Yeah, I think they have to just get something on the defensive line. I think Chop might be the selection here just because his testing was so good. He's young. They like the young, kind of skinnier guys, but maybe they learned that hasn't worked out. Chris Braswell is also a great player. Man, yeah, he's more of like he's definitely like a power player for sure. Darius Robinson's also a really good power rusher. What do you think? Do you think you can go with one of the edges?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards edge because they just need somebody.
Yeah.
They just don't really have anybody. What are you thinking? Chop Robinson is more of a speed rusher, or do you think they should go more for power rush?
I think they got to go with Braswell here, honestly, just because like they've tried the speed rusher thing and it just hasn't worked out. So I think we'll go Braswell. Moving on to the Bills.
They kind of have rough free agency.
Everyone has been mocking a receiver to them, but they did just get Curtis Samuel, who's been actually a very good receiver.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad option.
And they have the receiver that they drafted a few years ago. They had like a really good end of the year. Khalil Shakir, he had a really good year.
Yeah.
And then Diggs is staying. So, I mean, they have a fine receiving core. I mean, it doesn't hurt to add.
Do you think people are mocking him for receiver just because of the speculation around Stephon Diggs and what his future could be?
I think he's staying. I really do. I mean, right now their offensive line is actually pretty good. They have a really good tight end who fine quarterback. We all know Josh Allen's good at football. Running back, they might need a number 2. I like Ty Johnson, but not in the first round.
Yeah.
Defensive line, I mean, that defensive line is pretty good too. Edge doesn't hurt, but man, Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, Dorian Williams.
They did lose a lot in their secondary.
Yeah, like Benford's okay. Elam has been a bust. Yeah. I think maybe safety here, honestly. I mean, and there is Tyler Nubin, who's a fine player. He can kind of play wherever. He's played some slot, some outside corner, some D-line. I mean, these are obviously like low snap counts, but mostly it's box and deep, and they need someone who can kind of do both.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and just select them.
Okay, cool. So the Lions, I think they got to go corner. You hear about the Cam Sutton thing this morning?
Yes, I heard about the Cam Sutton thing. It didn't matter. He wasn't good at football anyways.
Damn.
Kool-Aid McKinstry's not a bad option here.
Yeah.
I actually like that a lot.
Okay.
I think we should just do Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I would have to agree. He's a good outside corner. They don't need a slot, and that's Mike Sanders still. But I like Tampa. I like Kamari Lassiter, but Kool-Aid McKinstry's the better of those. Moving on to the Ravens. Ooh, this is a tough team. They did just lose Patrick Queen, so Peyton Wilson could be there. They do like taking players with injury histories as like a value, but I don't think you'd go linebacker in the first round.
I don't think there's any really good linebackers in the first round anyways.
Yeah, I mean, right now at right tackle, they have Makari, who's a fine player, and Daniel Falele, who they did draft and develop. Ah, man. And I mean, right now they're hoping for he starts at guard, too.
Yeah.
Offensive lines always. I mean, Latham's fine, but I mean, Latham's fine because it's right tackle, plug and play. You look at the
That's not a bad
defense.
option for sure. We can go there.
Yeah, they have Trent Simpson at linebacker. I think Latham's a good pick. Moving on to
Another team that probably definitely needed a tackle. Their
I think-
offensive line in general was just bad outside of Trent Williams.
yeah, I think Guyton kind of has to be the guy. He can learn under Trent Williams. They're both from Oklahoma. He's really raw, but it gives him a year to develop.
Well, going with Kyle Shanahan's not a bad option either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we got to go Tyler Guyton here. For our last selection, we get
Did
the
we
Chiefs.
just go flashy and go Xavier Worthy?
Yeah, they
He
did.
just feels like a Chiefs receiver. Recently, just
Troy
broke
Franklin too.
Troy Franklin. There's so many good receivers.
Do they go with another speed guy after they just got Hollywood Brown? That's the question.
Yeah, I could change my mind on that actually. I would definitely lean receiver here. You got Hollywood Brown. You got Rasheed Rice. You get one more receiver. They're the Chiefs anyways. They're going to be really good regardless.
Yeah, I mean, Rasheed Rice is kind of like that yak guy. They have their speed guy with Hollywood Brown. I mean, they have a bunch of depth, obviously. I kind of think, they need someone who's more of like a X guy, but Rasheed Rice does fine there.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Leggett a lot. I would hate to see him there.
I know, that's really good.
I don't know. It's kind of tough. I think Troy Franklin is a very Chiefs receiver. He's like MVS Part 2, but hopefully good this time.
Do you think they take a chance on Leggett?
I mean, they definitely could because they reached last time for Rice, but it worked out. Leggett is a little older. He's 23, but I just wrote an article again about Leggett, how much I like him. I think that he's a really good prospect. The kind of same thing goes with him. Like just because he didn't do it in college doesn't mean he can't. He just needs to work on his route running. It's like his main thing. He's a little stiff. But
I'm honestly going to say they take the gamble and take him.
take Leggett. All right.
Just for one to disappoint you a little bit.
That would suck, but that's okay. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
I feel like we have a decent draft here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very pleased with the outcome. Let me know what you guys think. Anything would change. Some of you guys are probably yelling at us like, "Why the hell would you guys draft this guy here or whatever?" But
Why is Fuaga falling? Why are you picking Brock?
Brock, I'll stand on that. But yeah, why did Fuaga fall? Why did Cooper DeJean go at 17? Blah blah blah. It's okay.
Why do we have Nate Wiggins so low? Why is he?
It's just a bunch of things, but you know what? That's with every mock draft. There's always going to be some fun things going on.
Listen, NFL scouts can't get it right, so I don't feel that bad about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I've ran through a million mock drafts for fun, and I think this is pretty good. So, thank you guys for listening. This is Blitzing with the Breeze, and I'm Nate.
I'm Tristan.
And see you guys next time.